Sidekix is a navigation app for pedestrians, but unlike other nav apps, it's not about how fast you get there, it's about what you experience on the way. Instead of a sterile route, users can select routes based on their interests so they can explore cities to the max and request to make pit stops on the way based on their needs. Joining us in studio today is co-founder and CMO Jenny Drezin. Hey Jenny, thank you so much for being here. Also with us is Momi Nahum of Doramit. We'll get to you in just a moment. But Jenny, how did Sidekix come to be?
So I always love to travel. And when I travel, I use navigation, like many people. But the thing about navigation is it's mostly a utility. It gives you the shortest or fastest way to get from A to B. But why do we travel? It's not to run around the city as quickly as possible. It's to have a certain type of experience. So we decided to create a navigation app that would give you that city-urban experience.
And you grew up in New York City in the years that not many people wanted to live there, and this really impacted your decision to go through with this app, didn't it?
So when I was growing up in New York in the 80s and 90s, it was a very dynamic place. There was graffiti, there was street art, there were street protests, and I really, this was part of my, upbringing. And so I always loved urban life. I always loved exploring cities. Right. I always walked to school. And yeah, it influenced creating the app.
And so we're going to get a little technical now. How do you create an app that considers the user experience and more than just getting them from point A to point B? Where do you draw all that data from?
Right, so we look at social media, we look at the buzz, the kinds of things people are talking about and what's trending. And we also work with bloggers who can give us locally curated information, because the idea is that we're trying to show those urban gems, those special things in a city, not just your average chain restaurant, because we want to show people new sides to the city.
And this applies to, any city in the world? Like how far does this go?
So we are available in hundreds of cities worldwide, throughout Europe, the US, Australia, Israel, many places.
And tell us about interest-based routing. How does this work?
Right, so the idea is depending on where you are and where you're going and what's around you, we give you a choice of different routes, and it can be based on culture, shopping, art, fashion, and then you choose the kind of experience you want to have.
You've almost become a tour guide in a certain way. It's not just a navigation app. It's really just showing people, what's going on in that city. So what has the response been to the app? What are people saying who are using it?
So people really love it. They say that it's really showing them a new side to the city. And what's interesting is that travel is often a trigger for people to download the app, but we actually see them taking it home and using it in their own hometown as a tool of local discovery.
Wow.
Because cities are dynamic, they're changing.
Right.
You can't know everything about your city.
So by accident, in a way, it's become something else, which is great. Discover your local city. Thank you so much, Jenny, for coming here and telling us about it.
Thank you so much.